start with Rich up here. Hi, Manny. Can you describe what you're looking for from Kalen King this year? What can he do to improve on his performance last season?
Well, Rich, with Kalen, it's similar with all of our players. I mean, really what we're looking for is that you don't get to carry over what you did a year ago into this season. And the first thing when you're talking about anything with defensive back play, you're talking about a sense of urgency and playing with that chip on your shoulder, which I really thought he did a great job of a year ago when he was really the unknown because everybody was talking about Joey. Everyone knows who number 4 is right now, but you cannot lose that edge that you had about you that really made you great the year before. So I think those are the big things. I think if he brings that every day here in the month of August, then we've got all, he should have all the confidence in what he's demonstrated in games, and we have all the confidence in him. But as we tell Kalen and the entire defense, that resets and that restarts every offseason.
Up front, John.
Hey, Manny. How does having Kalen in the back end and Chop in the front 4 kind of change how you can shape your defense and what you can do as a play caller?
Well, John, if we just had Kalen and Chop, it would be we would be limited. Because that would be not to speak of the abilities of Johnny Dixon, the ability of our safeties and linebackers to be able to play man coverage. And again, in my experience, if you have one gifted pass rusher, there's nothing more fatiguing in the game of football than to rush the passer down after down after down. I think what makes Chop great is Adisa Isaac. I think what makes Adisa great is Denai. I think what makes those guys great is Amin. And I think the fact that, Zariah Fisher, I think the fact that the best defenses I've been a part of in terms of getting after the quarterback, including us a year ago, is because we had multiple waves of guys that could be relentless and not have to pace themselves to try to last the 60 minutes. They could go as hard as they could go, and they knew the guy coming in behind him, and that's hard on offensive linemen. And so we're blessed to have lots of guys who can create havoc and lots of guys who can cover.
Daniel.
Manny, over here. Chop's been able to have a full off-season in the strength and conditioning program here and a full off-season as a defensive end. What strides have you seen from him physically this off-season and then within the structure of the defense?
Well, we have a great strength and conditioning program. When we come back and see the team in August, I mean, what Chuck and his guys have done with those guys is phenomenal. So our guys are in great shape. They're super strong. I think with Chop, and you even saw it as the year went on last season, was just the familiarity in the scheme. Like you mentioned, he was a DN full-time, had a little bit less to think about, but at the same time, you have to focus in on the details and the nuances of the position. You can definitely see that he's much, much more comfortable with that. And as any player develops, as you get more and more comfortable, you can play faster. And thinking about a guy like Chop playing faster is a scary sight. And that, to me, is what we have to have starting from the 1st of September this year. We don't want to get into that. We don't want to be we want to play our best late in the season, but we've got to be playing at a championship level to beat West Virginia.
Up front, Todd, right here.
Hi, Coach. Right here.
Hey, Todd.
Hey, look, it's a big deal, obviously, for players to have the same coordinator the next year, whether they're learning the language. Also, for coordinators to work with the same coordinators, I would imagine. So you working with Coach Yurcich, what are you able to do? How has that relationship kind of blossomed and working together? And especially when he has young quarterbacks, does he ask you to do something defensively to give them a look? Or how's that relationship kind of gotten better and able to work together to help the players grow?
Well, I think, look, at the end of the day, we both have the same goal in terms of the category we want to lead the nation in. We want to lead the nation in wins, right? That's I was early in my career, I was as fortunate enough to be a part of a staff at NC State. We were number 1 in the nation in total defense, and we finished 5 and 6 that year. There's no ring for that. We didn't have a parade. Nobody noticed. No one remembers that. That's why I keep telling that story. So, but I sure remember winning. When you win nice things, you win Rose Bowls. There's a lot of ways to remember that type of stuff. So, as we, whether it's the way we practice, whether it's the way we attack a game, you hear Coach Franklin talk about it all the time, playing great complementary football. Those aren't just words. I mean, there's something that goes into that. And that's what I think right now in August, we're learning who we are. We're sort of in our independent silos trying to get our guys as good as they can be. And I think what all good coaches and all good staffs do is when you come out of training camp, you get a real assessment of where are we strong, where are we still maybe growing and developing as a football team, and how do we play to our strengths, and how do we maximize or how do we minimize our weaknesses? Because every team in the country, no matter what the publications say, everyone has weaknesses, and you're trying to minimize those as much as possible while at the same time maximize what you do well.
We'll go to Ben right here.
Hey, Manny, how's it going?
Good, Ben. How are you?
Good. You're obviously not short on good players on the defensive side of the ball, but Abdul kind of rises to maybe have the potential to be that kind of game breaker kind of guy on that side. When you have someone that's that good or can be that good, how does that change the dynamic of a defense when you're putting it together, when you're thinking about what you can do, and maybe just the psyche of knowing, obviously you have a lot of good guys out there, but somebody like him that can do the things that he can do?
Well, certainly if you have a player like Abdul who has a certain skill set, there are some things that he does very well that you want to put him in those positions to make plays as often as possible. But Abdul and I had a conversation just walking on the field yesterday, and I've mentioned this before, with Abdul's talent, if Abdul just does simple things in a simple manner, it will look extraordinary to the outside eye, because that's just what very talented people do. If they just play simple, then, I always show the guys, the shot that Michael Jordan made to beat the Utah Jazz, it wasn't a half quarter, it was an 18-foot shot. I mean, everybody in this room is probably, with enough shots, would at least make one of them, right? And so it's not about being putting the cape on and doing, insane things. When you're extremely talented and you play simple, you make simple things look extraordinary. And that, to me, has been what we're trying to get Abdul to understand as he goes into year two. Because expectations, and people all of a sudden realize, oh my gosh, I've got to hit a grand slam with nobody on base, and that's not necessarily the case.
Way in the back, T. Frank.
Hey, Manny, straight back.
Hey, good. How's it going there in the last row?
Pretty good, pretty good. In 2019, Greg Rousseau had, I believe, 16 sacks on your defense, a lot of them rushing from the interior. Do you see any similarities in talent or fit between him and Nittany?
Everyone's a little bit unique in their own certain way. Greg was a redshirt freshman that year. So, when we went to 3 down, we were able to put him inside a little bit because of the other ends that we have. Those are the questions that you can never answer at this stage of training camp, because you have to assess who you put on the field on 3rd down, and if you kind of go all in, how much do you weaken yourself if you don't get off the field on 3rd down? Now, obviously, you want to do your best to get off the field on 3rd down. It's a pass-fail type grade. And at the same time, what do the guys do well? What's their skill set? So we're going to always try to put our guys in the best position to make plays. 3rd down is, of course, a down that everybody in the country takes very seriously, and we do here. And our guys have a lot of confidence in what we do in our 3rd down package. And I think those are all the things that we're trying to figure out. Right now, we want someone to be great at one thing. Nittany, hey, be great at this. Abdul will be great at this. And then once they can do that, then again, they expand their ability to help us outward.
Andrew?
Coach, over here near the pillar. You joined this team right before the Outback Bowl 2 years ago. In that time, how has your perception of the program and personnel changed?
Well, my first impression of the program is held to be true now. I mean, I was very impressed with the way that our kids worked. I was very impressed in the way that they communicated. I was very impressed in the pride that they play with here and what Penn State means to them. From a personnel standpoint, I do think, and again, I can only speak on what I've seen with my own eyes and the time that I've been here, but it does feel like our recruiting on the defense side of the ball is trending in the right direction. I like the guys who we have added to our roster, either the ones that signed in the class that arrived when I arrived, the class that just got here, and I like the ones that we've got committed to us right now. I really think that from a standpoint of what it takes to play championship defense and at all 3 levels, I think we're doing a heck of a job. And that's all you do is you just stack recruiting classes on top of each other, and pretty soon you've got a team that's ready to challenge for shiny objects.
Time for one more question. Tyler, over
Manny,
here on the
back
right.
here. Thank you. Back in December, I think it was, you told us that you felt like you signed 3 elite linebackers in that 2023 class. Now you've had a chance to see 2 of them for spring ball, 1 of them for a few practices. Can you give an updated evaluation on Tamir and Tony and Kavion and really what their positional outlook is for the immediate future?
We've only had 1 day in pads, right, since spring. Obviously, everybody saw that, Tony and Tamir did well in the spring game, which I thought gave them a lot of confidence. You know, Tamir certainly is an inside linebacker, a Mike linebacker in our defense. I think Tony can factor in as a Sam or a Will. I think Kavion the same way as a Sam or Will. Now, again, our offense, you know, as you mentioned, we do a lot of stuff on offense. We present a lot of pictures, a lot of moving parts, motions, formations, this, that, and the other. So Kavion right now is kind of walking down the middle of Interstate 99 with cars flying by in each direction, but all the freshmen are. That's just normal on both sides of the ball. But they have shown already, even with Kavion, has shown some athletic things to let us know why we were so high on him and that we think that he's got a really good future here at Penn State.
All right, thank you very much, Manny. We will have Mike next.